Chapter 8, Group 3. The news left Max speechless. From that day on, the captains would no longer train him as they had before. Commander Jacob informed him that he would now participate in several training and preparation groups for the upcoming promotion ceremony in a few months. Max would need to apply the teachings alongside 5 other apprentices to develop his skills and join the action ranks of one of the organization's squads. They took him to one of the training rooms where Lieutenant Mark from the 2nd Squad was waiting for him along with 5 other young people, 3 girls and 2 boys. "The group is complete," said the lieutenant. "This is the weirdo everyone's been talking about," one of the boys present muttered. "Silence," Mark ordered. "As you all know," he continued, "in 3 months the promotion ceremony will take place where you will be tested to see if you can join one of the guard squads." "What happens if we fail?" Max asked. "There are multiple opportunities for promotion. Since this is a large and, in my opinion, overly complex organization, there are always tasks and roles to assign to those who wish to continue supporting our cause," Mark said. "You become a GuardCo employee," one of the girls said sarcastically. "Basically, yes," the lieutenant replied, laughing. "But anyway, it's time to introduce you to Maximilian Amory, bearer of the element Umbra." "My name is Charlie," said the boy who had spoken earlier. "I'm Makila," said the girl who had answered his question. "I'm Vivian," said one of the twins, "and this is my sister Violet." "I'm Peter," said the last boy, who, like Max, was quiet and reserved. "It's a pleasure to meet you all," Max concluded. "I hope to learn a lot from you." "Listen, rookie," Charlie growled. "We know who trained you, but don't think your nice guy act fools me. I know what you are, a danger to all of us." "Enough!" Mark exclaimed angrily. "From this moment on, you will all work together to become valuable members of the Guard. You are a team and must act like one." The lieutenant ordered them to form a circle, alternating between boys and girls. He told them that, as of that moment, they were part of Training Group 3 and proceeded to explain the first phase of the promotion ceremony. It consisted of a battle among 8 groups like theirs, where everyone had to remain standing to advance to the next round. After that, one person of each gender would be chosen to represent their group in a duel. If they won, all members of their group would advance to the final round. Then the real ceremony would begin, in which the remaining 12 candidates would be evaluated individually. Only 5 apprentices would be chosen to join the squad that best matched their skills. The training was essentially the same as before. They started with exercise routines, followed by soul essence control, rune conjuring practice, and combat with group members. They had to keep switching opponents to learn to adapt in combat. Each guy had a different fighting style and personality. Peter had impressive speed, and his soul essence control allowed him to perform the space jump technique. This technique involved sending energy to his feet to propel himself, and he could do it in a third of the time it took the others. The twins were experts in conjuring, and when they trained together, they were perfectly synchronized. They could draw large runes to increase their attack power and combine them to create unstoppable combinations. Charlie, the self-proclaimed captain of the group, was physically strong and had a powerful protection technique. His affinity for the earth element allowed him to conjure runes that altered his surroundings to facilitate combat. Makila, on the other hand, was a mixed martial arts master and could deliver stronger blows with her essence control. They were an incredibly talented group. Max seemed to be a bit behind. Just a few months ago, he was a simple kitchen assistant. He had to face young individuals with superhuman talents, which made him nervous. Training with the captains was crucial at that moment. Although he wasn't as skilled as his peers, Max had quick analytical abilities that allowed him to use his surroundings to his advantage in every battle. He realized that not everyone could see the flow of essence the way he could. He used this ability to learn from his rivals and improve every day. After 2 weeks of practice, he perfected the push technique, which involved expelling essence through his palms. Combining it with the space jump technique allowed him to perform a high jump. Delivering a punch with the push technique increased the damage level significantly. However, he had to meticulously calculate the energy flow to avoid rapid exhaustion. Everyone noticed that Max was quite good and learned quickly. The twins started spending more time with him. Together, they learned medical treatment runes and corrected strokes that reduced the range or power of the technique. Peter and Charlie, on the other hand, kept their distance from him. When they had to face him, they did so hastily to avoid revealing their best moves. Max found a tough opponent in Makila. She didn't hold back, always attacking him with everything she had. She injured him several times, but not out of malice. She simply demanded too much from herself and others. Her family had been part of the Guard for generations. Even her grandfather had been a lieutenant in the second squad. Unfortunately, he fell in battle and passed the title to Mark. Makila's parents operated in the fourth squad, and her older brother was a key member of the fifth. Her goal was to contribute all her strength to the second squad, just as her grandfather had inspired her to do. One normal day, the four of them were having lunch together and enjoying a pleasant moment. Max had never had friends before, so he was a bit of a novice in this area. Gradually, he grew closer to his female comrades, a development that Charlie viewed with displeasure. Charlie saw Max as just a lucky guy who had found a mysterious power that no one understood. Charlie didn't understand how Max could have been trained by the captains themselves when he had no family ties to the organization. Yet Max had suddenly been revealed everything about the world between worlds. On top of that, Max was a potential candidate for squad membership. It was unfair, and it had to stop. Charlie would prove that Max wasn't worthy and humiliate him in front of everyone. He stood up from his chair and with a loud shout declared, "You, Maximilian Amory, I challenge you to a duel." Everyone fell silent and looked at the boy pointing his finger at Max. He had a smile on his face and an arrogant attitude. "I'll show everyone that you're not as special as they say. You won't last 10 minutes if you face my full power," Charlie exclaimed. "Just relax," Makila told him. "Shut up, woman," Charlie replied. "I'm not talking to you." "You're making a scene," Vivian scolded him. "I'm not talking to you either," he said, not looking at her. "I accept the duel," Max finally said. Silence once again reigned in the dining hall. All eyes were on them. Something inside Max told him that he would have to face the strongest in order to surpass himself. With great confidence, he stood up and faced Charlie. Surprised by the boy's determination, Peter realized that he was special. "How about we do it at the end of practice this afternoon?" Peter suggested. "Sounds good to me," Max and Charlie said simultaneously. Sasha listened in silence and left to witness the fight. When practice ended, Peter marked the combat zone by conjuring some runes around the room. He created a giant cube that would serve as the arena for his friends. People started arriving, quite excited about the match. Many apprentices from other groups were present to see their potential opponents in action. This must be an important event, as official members of the Guard were present. Mark even showed up and offered to mediate at all times. They couldn't go overboard because he would stop them immediately if they crossed the line. Peter's whistle sounded, signaling the start. Charlie concentrated all his power and lunged at Max, who dodged an energy-loaded punch. Charlie wanted to finish him off quickly, but the bearer was faster. With a subtle movement, he unbalances his opponent, causing him to fall to the ground. Charlie quickly recovered and conjured a rune that sprouted spikes of earth everywhere, preventing Max from holding a steady position. As soon as Max found solid ground, he conjured a materialization rune and several arrows shot toward Charlie. He dodged them and hurled a large rock at his rival. Charlie took advantage of Max's movement to perform a space jump, positioning himself at a good distance and delivering a blow that Max could only barely block with his arms. This sent Max flying. Max was at a disadvantage because the terrain provided Charlie with several elements with which to attack, as there were rocks everywhere. Max conjured his light arrow attack again, but the challenger dodged the arrows and used the spikes to shield himself and attack Max by surprise. Charlie's ironclad defense was his greatest advantage. He grabbed Max by the foot as he attacked and slammed him into the ground with enough force to create a small crater. Then he threw Max far away again. Max struggled to get back up. His adversary conjured a rune, covering his right arm with rocks. Max knew this would be his final blow, so he charged with all his power. Remembering what Achilles had told him about using the shadow in combat, Max manifested Umbra in his arms. When Charlie was about to deliver the finishing blow, Max stopped the attack with a single hand, leaving everyone in awe of his unique power. "If you're using all your power, I'll do the same," Max warned. "So be it," Charlie said excitedly, smiling broadly. The pace of the battle changed completely. Max was faster and could inflict more damage with his claws, which worried Charlie. The battle was stimulating for both of them. They launched shadow and rock attacks, their blows becoming more precise and powerful with each passing moment. The elemental techniques became more complex. Charlie summoned a huge stone golem to corner and attack Max. Max used his short-distance teleportation ability to escape. He transformed his claws into a huge hammer that pulverized the golem with a single blow. Then he launched a shadow attack that sent Charlie flying and crashing into his rock spikes. Charlie got up and hurled the spikes at Max with great strength. Max found it difficult to change his claws into something that would allow him to defend himself. He couldn't move comfortably. Sometimes the claws hit the ground, reducing his speed. The spectators watched the fight without saying a word. Sasha realized Max's disadvantage when she saw him fighting inappropriately. Those powerful claws didn't suit their bearer at all. She thought that if the boy found his style, he would be a great warrior. She left the place. Mark saw her leave and also noticed the boy's situation. Having been present at the battle against the giant shadow, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. In such a short time, Max had learned to handle such power. He would be a valuable addition to his squad. The two apprentices were exhausted yet didn't stop. Charlie gave Max and his Shadow Claws a tough fight with his best rock fist technique. More than 10 minutes had passed, which Max said wasn't supposed to last. Charlie stopped the fight, shook Max's hand, and said with a big smile, "You've earned all my respect. I see that you're special, and I promise that I'll give my all in every practice to learn with you and earn an honorable promotion." The other companions approached to congratulate them on their spectacular display of talent and power. They believed they could achieve their goal together. From that moment on, Group 3 became a threat to the other aspirants. They reacted quickly, using concealment runes in every training session to avoid being spied on. The practices were now among the 6 members of Group 3. They honed their skills by teaching and correcting each other. Each one contributed something to the team. Makila contributed her fighting techniques, Peter contributed his control of energy expulsion, the twins contributed their perfect rune drawing, and Charlie contributed his essence concentration. These skills combined perfectly with Max's situational analysis. Max could see the essence flow of his friends and comrades, and he used this ability to devise combat strategies for each of them and as a group. They pushed themselves to their limits. When asked to designate a group captain, they unanimously chose Max. With only 3 weeks left until the promotion ceremony, Group 3 was much better prepared. The only drawback was that Max still felt uncomfortable fighting with the claws. He improved slightly by transforming them into 2 short swords. However, since they didn't have a defined shape, they would eventually turn back into claws. Each practice battle was an opportunity for his companions to find flaws in his fighting style. They were also assimilating their definitive battle form better. The same thing happened in his training sessions with Achilles. He felt he couldn't defeat Achilles because he didn't know how to use the shadow effectively. Regarding this, his mentor repeatedly told him to remain true to himself. It was frustrating and time was running out, so he asked his predecessors how they had chosen their style. Garland told him that since he had a lot of experience battling with a sword, the shadow sword materialized naturally when he learned to use Umbra. He just let it flow to find its form. Zarha's explanation confused him further, as she said that he had to internalize the shadow in order to maximize his power. Qua only taught him the principles of matter absorption and how to take advantage of them in combat. Vasilios recommended that he look within himself to discover his best qualities and find his path. Motoki didn't want to influence his decision and announced that he would wait for him when the time was right. At the end of that day's practice, all the members of Group 3 decided to rest and train individually for the remaining 2 days before the ceremony. They headed to the hall except for Max, who stayed behind to practice combat techniques with his claws and find a way to optimize his stances. Sasha entered the field and, without saying a word, launched an attack. Max, always alert, dodged the blow and blocked another. She continued her attacks without letting him create distance to conjure any runes. "Come on, boy," Sasha said. "Show me the power you truly possess." "I don't know why you're doing this," Max asked, confused. "I'm bored and have some time," she said simply. "I'm busy," he scolded her. The attacks didn't stop, and she was just getting started. She observed Max's fighting style during the fight, which helped her provide him with instructions and corrections that he thought he had already incorporated. Her speed and strength increased, and she took over the entire battlefield. Max could only cover his head and occasionally attack. Sasha drew her sword, and Max saw her use her weapon for the first time. In response, he materialized shadow claws. With each blow, his tense fingers had to change the shape of Umbra to protect himself, which cost him reaction time and counterattack opportunities. Sasha was disappointed with Max's performance. She let him take the lead and easily read his blows, so it was no longer fun or encouraging. She launched some obvious fire slashes from a distance and blocked some even more obvious shadow slashes. After a while, with a couple movements of her sword, she broke Max's guard and he fell to the ground. "You have the power to create whatever you want, yet you choose to fight like a wild animal with claws," Sasha reproached him. "I've never used a weapon," Max replied as he got up. "You didn't use soul essence before either, and now you do it quite well," she told him. "Do you think I should learn to use a weapon?" he asked. "Usually when you're chosen for a squad, you're assigned one," she replied as she left. Max's curiosity grew upon learning this. He hadn't noticed until then that each squad member he had met had a different weapon. He reasoned that he should have one too. However, they had just revealed a great truth to him. He could materialize any object he desired by focusing on it. Before going to his room, he went to the library to look for information about weapons combined with soul essence and their combat styles. He researched techniques for crafting weapons and combat styles, but he couldn't find anything related to combining them with soul essence. Of all the types of weapons he found, swords excited him the most. Katanas, for example, always seemed marvelous to him, very elegant and powerful. He read everything he could about them and decided to make one for himself. Despite concentrating hard, the shadow didn't move from his arms. He only managed to form a black ball that kept spinning between his fingers. As the night progressed, he kept trying, but the only thing he achieved was falling asleep on the floor in an uncomfortable position. The next morning, he decided to ask Achilles how to create a katana. He imagined the old man sitting calmly and saying, "I can't answer that question for you. You have to figure it out on your own." "I just want to know how to materialize things," Max insisted impatiently. "Be yourself and everything will work out," the old man repeated in a subdued tone. "That's not helping me at all," Max scolded him. "The ceremony is tomorrow and my fighting style is far from perfect." "Remember that we believe in you, Maximilian," Achilles said. "Now you must let me rest." The mentor faded away, leaving Max alone with his thoughts. He decided to practice his combat techniques and rune conjuring for the big event the next day.